Okay, we'll have to do kirtan at the end because no one heard it. Oh, okay. Rati says Zoom is. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear?
Yes, Maharaj.
Somehow they said it's not good for live music, but boy, did you miss a kirtan. But you probably saw the ecstasy on their faces.
We could see it.
But Rati saved the day and told us what the issue was. Okay. Reading, come in. Okay. Reading from the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta. Just put in front of me, put it back there someplace. Chapter 4, text 40. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Hanumāṁs tu mahā-bhāgyas tat-sevā-sukham anvabhūt. Su-bahūni sahasrāṇi vatsarāṇām avighnakam. But Hanumān is much more fortunate. For many thousands of years, he's enjoyed serving the Lord constantly without any interruption. Commentary, according to Sri Ramayana, Hanumān stayed with Lord Ramachandra on earth for more than 11,000 years. Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, however, says that he served his Lord directly for more than 13,000 years. In the 9th canto, 9, 11, 18, and 36, the Bhagavatam states, after Mother Sita entered the earth, Lord Ramachandra observed complete celibacy and performed an uninterrupted Agnihotra Yajna for 13,000 years. Without transgressing the religious principles, Lord Ramachandra, whose lotus feet are worshipped by devotees in meditation, enjoyed with all the paraphernalia of transcendental pleasure for as long as he needed, end quote. Hanumān remained with Lord Ramachandra all this time. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Taksur Unmulatam Yena Tasmai Sri Chaitanya Manopistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, greetings from Govardhan. We're right at the side of Govardhan. And I tried to, I'm sorry you couldn't hear the kirtan, but it was going so nicely. Yeah, it's really intense here in devotion. Really intense in devotion. It's the schedule for the morning was walking around Govardhan Hill, half, meeting all those nice sadhus, and then the group, some of the people with me, and some of the Dandavatis of Jai Jagannath. They went to Barsana, and they spent all day in Barsana with Atul Krishna, we know well. And they met the famous Saint Vinod Baba. He chants Hare Krishna from 5 in the morning till 2. And he's done this for many, many years. And generally also his kirtans are famous. He doesn't do them so much. And then Shyam Sundari and Jai Jagannath and Juan Camilo from Colombia. It's Bahulashtami, the appearance day of Radha Kund. It's insane out there. And they went out there, and the kirtan, the people from Barsana were late for my class, but they weren't late for my class because it was daylight savings time. So they came and they rushed. They thought they were late, and we still had time, and we did kirtan. And Shyam Sundari came in, and we spoke for some time, and she shared some nice realizations with me, and I also gave some commentary on it. But she was explaining about that tat-sevā-sukham, how much blessings you got from the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, and how the blessings from the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, they open your heart with the dust of Vrindavan, and they make it a suitable place for bhakti and Krishna and Radha to come. And I also had that experience here, and I've been here, and it's been my service here for so many years, that there's, I don't know what but there's a mental disability called autism, and there's a spectrum. But the basic concept, I read this, is that a person's not able to read minds. And to see something, it's not enough to just see something. You have to interpret it. And if you interpret it wrong, you don't see it properly. And a lot of what you see is your interpretation of it, not just the sensual things. And when you can't read someone's mind, you actually can't see what's happening. You can't see a happy person. You can't see an angry person. You can't see a person who's annoyed. So much of seeing is our interpretation of it, which requires, anyway, I've gone over this, requires so many things, especially when you deal with a person. A lot of seeing depends on your love, because only with your love will that person reveal themselves to you. And what a person is more than anything else is their love, their relationships, their fathers, mothers, lovers, friends. So my experience in seeing the Dandavatis here and the austerities they performed, and me trying to do a little something of going around every day, what I see is that Krishna gives you entrance to actually see Vrindavan. I've always challenged people when they've come to me that this is the most beautiful place in the world. You just have to have the apparatus to see it. And once you enter in, it's like once you enter into the Dham, your whole vision changes and doors open up. And so it's just a wonderful experience. So after they came from Barsana, they came and they brought some of that energy here. And we were doing kirtans, and it was so joyous. So it's Kartik. Kartik is says what is very difficult to achieve outside of Vrindavan. Love of God, it is easily to obtain during Kartik when you do it properly. And that's our philosophy. There's both there's two things that happen. One is your effort, and one is Krishna's mercy. You get a lot by your effort, but your effort, and I make this point so many times, what our effort is it's letting Krishna see our heart. That's what our effort is. Our effort is allowing Krishna to see our heart, and therefore Krishna reciprocates. And that reciprocation is Vishaya Charya Kabe Shudehabe Mana When you're peaceful and when you're not selfish, then you can see Vrindavan. Then you can see Vrindavan. So a lot of nice energy here. And from the people who've been here, I'm getting messages of their deep, deep separation from the Dham. Now, in terms of our story today, this Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, I want to get to Gail's question. Gail, I joke, she always catches me speculating. It's not speculating, but I'm a creative philosopher. I don't just repeat things. I have realizations. I try to figure things out, And whenever it's not clear, then Gail goes, but what about this? It's like that little skip of logic, and I know what is happening. Usually I like to be completely. But she asked this question about why does praise, accepting praise, why can it cover the soul? The whole idea in bhakti is that we're not feeling the energy of our connection with God because we're covered by the false ego, which is this desire for superiority. We're covered by it. So then I was thinking about because what's happening here in the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, as Narada is searching for the topmost recipient of Krishna's mercy, every time he meets a devotee and glorifies him, the devotee not only deflects the praise, but they're quite militant about it. And they really don't want it. They really don't want it. Not just intellectually, but emotionally. So here's it, but because if you accept praise, it'll inflate your ego. It's so simple. It'll inflate that sense of superiority. And for someone, as you Dandavatis are, now that you have that experience, for someone who's feeling the bhav and understanding what real pleasure is, which is devotion to Krishna and having that connection for Krishna, when you feel that and understand that, which is just what a drop of the exalted souls are feeling, you can see what is the comparison to some jai and some praise, which we are searching for in our whole life. And if someone does the opposite and criticizes us, we're ready to fight. And if someone tells you you're wrong, you're ready to fight, right? Because we're in that, and that's what's covering the soul. But you can see when you're actually feeling, they're really feeling something, they're really feeling, because they're just engaged all day and they're not stopping now. They're in the bhav. They just want to continue. That you don't want it. When you're feeling that humility, you're feeling that humility, which allows you to experience mercy, which is love from above, then certainly you don't want to move out of that. So here we're in Narada's journey, which is progressive. And it is also following the line of the Bhagavatam, because it's a summary of the Bhagavatam in another shape. When he's going from devotee to devotee, and they're pointing to the next devotee, whose relationship with Krishna has a little bit more intimacy, but you don't actually, we're saying one is better than the other, but they're all perfect. They're just different forms of love. Just like I'm also on, when it's not Wednesday and Sunday when I'm giving the class, when I'm giving the class every day, I've jumped to the end. And at the very end of it, Satyabhama, who's a little bit of a contrary love, which also Krishna appreciates. The other queens understand that Krishna's love for the gopis is greater. And they're not envious. They're just seeing the person they love in a more beautiful aspect. But Satyabhama gets a little upset, and then Krishna gets upset with her and says, you want to know why, why I love the gopis so much. And then it explains the end of the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, that the gopis are the topmost recipients of Krishna's mercy. And it explains it in such an extraordinary way. I don't want to get into that now, but it's an extraordinary ending, because it explains the depth of separation, that the love becomes so intense. And only in the residents of Vrindavan, and especially the gopis, they can experience this viraha-bhav, this separation. And it becomes so intense, the separation, that Krishna appears in their hearts. It's so intense, because Krishna is there in our love. He's not physically separated from us. He's separated from us by our will. Not by a distance, it's by our will. And when we want Krishna, we have Krishna. So but it's described in that mood of intense separation. Krishna also appears externally before them, where generally Krishna is either before you or internal. But he's there both. Anyway, it describes it. But when it describes how the queens are explaining why the love of the gopis is so much greater, because it's so spontaneous, where they're attached to their social regulations and what the etiquette and how to deal and so many things. The purport explained very nicely that although they say that's actually a component of their love. Just like if someone it's rare these days, but if someone has a very respectable father, right? Then he's a little bit apprehensive. He's or she a little he's a little apprehensive in the father's presence, maybe stays a little distant, a little formal. He feels so many duties and obligations. So it seems that there's something external to love, because there's duty, there's obligation, there's fear, but it's actually part of their love. It's actually part of their love. So anyway, there's this progression. And now in this verse here, what Prahlad is deflecting the praise that's giving to him and saying to Narada, you go see Hanumān. And he deflects everything about him. But one thing he says is that Prahlad said, well, yeah, it's true. Lord Nrsimhadev appeared before me. He's God. And while Brahma was shaking in fear, he called me over and he put his paws on my head and he started licking me in affection. So, that's true. That, I had the direct association, but then he just left. He just left. But Hanumān enjoyed serving the Lord for many thousands of years. The direct darshan. So he's saying Hanumān. And then he's also explaining that this activity of service is not only with the mind, but really at the highest level of service, all your senses are engaged in the Lord's service. You're completely absorbed. Where Prahlad says, my thing is just remembrance. I'm just meditating. And then he also I'm just meditating, and but he's actually serving. And in my meditation, then I have some anxieties. He says, I'm a king. I'm sitting on the throne. I'm worried. So what kind of meditator is that? You can't meditate unless you're peaceful and free. So he deflects the praise, and then he describes Hanumān, who is serving. Now I was just thinking this thing of really not wanting praise. This is just one story I just tell, is that after Prabhupada left, some people took up the service of gurus. There were 11 people. And you can see what happened if you're not that, they were 29 years old, 28 years old, just devotees for 7, 6, 7, 8 years, 9 years, and also having thousands of disciples, and if you're not purified yet, then that praise is very difficult if you accept it. And then the position. So some of my godbrothers became worried, especially about one of the people in Europe, and he was buying big palaces and making huge thrones for himself. So the Vyasa-san would be like, if I went there, it was like above my head. So they came to this saint in Vrindavan and they asked him, because they were concerned, so they wanted consultation. They said, if he's attached to sitting on a big throne, will he fall? And when you go to learned Vaishnavas, their answers are so beautiful. They said, will he fall? He said, he's already fallen. So anyway, so we're going to read now about Hanumān, who's such an attractive devotee. He has everything. He's so learned, actually. He's so powerful. And it's going to describe progressively how he endears Ramachandra, his Lord, to him by his service. Service is the expression of love. That's why Prabhupada always defined bhakti as devotional service. Bhakti means devotion, but Prabhupada always said bhakti means devotional service, because there's always love, but there's a concrete expression of love. That's why Mayavadi and personal philosophy doesn't make sense, because everybody say love, 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 but if they're impersonalist, then where's the love? Because love means concrete expression of love. That's why an absolute reality that describes lila and drama is if you believe that love makes the world go round, if you believe that love is such a quality, then how can you deny that in the absolute truth? And then the expression of love seems so real. So Hanumān's love, let's read about Hanumān's love, and let's all pray that we can develop this. Yo balishta tamo bhalye deva vrinda pasadata samprapta sadvaro vrato jara marana varjita. He is the most powerful person. When he was just a child, the demigods favored him with several wonderful benedictions. Thus he became immune to old age and death. So balishta tama, like uttama, the best. So balishta tama, balishta, strength. He is the most strong. And Balye, in his childhood, he got prasadata. He got the favor of the demigods. And samprapti, he obtained satvara. Brahma means excellent things, benedictions. and not only that, that satvara vrata, a series of benedictions, and he would become varjita, free from jara, old age and death. So we'll read these commentaries because this is this Jayadvaita Maharaj and Gopi Pranadhana Keshav Bharti. I was here. It was done in Govardhan. I would sometimes come in the room where they were debating over one word, how to make it so clear. So I don't know any writing that's as clear as these commentaries. Hanuman's unique strength and his other qualities mentioned in this verse and the next enhances unimpeded service to Lord Ramachandra. How he received the demigod's benedictions explained in Sri Ramayana, Uttarakhanda 35:36. As soon as Hanumān was born, he saw the sun rising over his head and thought it some ripe fruit hanging from a tree. He jumped up to catch it and would have done so had Indra not intervened to protect the sun by hurling the thunderbolt weapon, striking Hanumān in the jaw and felling him unconscious to the earth. Hanuman's father, Vayu, greatly angered, decided to withhold the force of breath all over the universe. And all the denizens of the universe began to suffocate. To save the universal population, Brahma and the other chief demigods came to Hanumān, revived him, and granted him various benedictions. So he's so powerful. But the thing about it is, the glory of it is, it's all for God. There's instruments, but they only become valuable how they're used. Then you appreciate the instrument. Like we had harmonium, we're having such nice kirtans here. Oh, why is it going out? Anyway, my thing went out again. I don't know what to do. I'm going to have to get it back. 1 second. Yeah, an instrument becomes it's a it's a great violin, but it's only valuable when it's used because they know it can be used, but it has no value without the person. But when the person uses it, then it has value. So when you see these great devotees and you see their powerful qualities and you glorify them, it's because their qualification is that they've surrendered to God and allowed God to use them. And therefore a devotee doesn't become proud because sarvasya chaham hiri sani vishto matasmitir jnanam apoanam sha. I am situated in everybody's heart, and from me comes remembrance, forgetfulness, and knowledge. So the powers you have, they're given by God. They're karmic things, and they can be taken away in a second also. You can see a brilliant person could lose his mind. The strong person becomes old. He can become crippled. So those strengths are given by God, and the ability is given by God. Okay, we're having a challenge here. I was so excited about this class, and then somehow or other, I don't know why this went offline again. This is so frustrating. Let me try to reboot it or something. Just give me a second. It's having so much fun too. And I was really ready to get into it. Just because I actually looked at them beforehand, but it's not. Okay, let's see. Maybe now it will work. Reload book. Okay. We're reloading the book, and by Krishna's grace, it will reload. Oh, Krishna, energy of Krishna, please reload. Giriraj, please reload my book. Okay, it looks like we may have something. One second, let me try something. I'll be right back with all you. Just be patient as I try to. Okay, end of book. What does end of book mean? What? Okay, let me try again. Ready? Okay. All right, Krishna's being merciful. So I'll get back. I just have to get to my spot. It'll take a time. Anyway, while I'm getting to my page, so our program tomorrow is Jai Jagannath's going someplace, and Sham Sundari and Juan Camilo leave. Patrick is going to go to Vrindavan. We'll meet him there. And then we will we'll go into the town of Aniur, and we'll have, I know this family, just imagine this family that their seva for hundreds of years has been to cook chapatis for all the sadhus that go around. When I was going around today, there was this huge group in front of us. They're blocking the whole path, and they were going really slow. And then when I came to the path, I met this man who I know, Bal Krishna Sharma. We're going to go to his house. And then he said, and when we passed them, then he said, oh, he offered his respect to Chaitanya Baba. Chaitanya Baba for 30 years has been going around the hill twice a day. And he's crippled. He's on crutches. So I don't know. So maybe he doesn't do, I don't know. There's nothing that was really stopping him. So imagine his day. Imagine what you're experiencing, right? You know what I'm saying? When you're going, you're dandavat in the dirt, and the reciprocation that comes. Okay, I'm getting to my spot, and thanks for staying with me while I'm just blabbering here. But and that's the system. If you don't have time to cook because you're going around the hill, you can simply go to some Brahmin's house that does this and go Radhe Radhe, and they're so joyful. And what samskar is, it happens. If this is just there in Jaiva Dharma, there's one story in Jaiva Dharma. It's a beautiful story about people coming to Krishna consciousness a generation after Lord Chaitanya. And they come to these Babajis. And as a different type of person comes, there's a different tattva of Krishna-katha, like an impersonalist comes. So there's a discussion. There's a Muslim, different people. There's a materialist comes. So one of the people that comes is a very interesting story. They're very miserly, and they, and in their village, they never feed the other Vaishnavas in their house, and then they go on some kind of pilgrimage, and then their children lock them out of the house and steal everything from them and tell them not to come back. And the moral was that if the children don't learn generosity, if the parents, they don't see the parents in generosity, then the children won't be. But when I see this family that feeds, you can see how it's imbibed in their children. Okay, it's taking me time. I'm really sorry. I have to figure out why this technology does it this way. It used to just come on. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Okay, this is taking 5 minutes. Hare Krishna, Hare
Don't
Krishna.
you love paper books?
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Yeah, but I'd have to buy 10 paper books for each place I go. That's the problem. I love paper books. And I have the paper books in New York. I don't like this. I do. I was actually reading today, and I like paper books. Okay. Okay, we'll read the next verse. Ashesha trasa rahato mahā-bhāgyas mahā-viro raghupatir asadharana sevaka. He is free of all fear. He maintains great vows, and he performs auspicious deeds. Outstanding among heroes, he's an exceptional servant of the Lord of the Raghus. Commentary: among the vows of Hanumān, the greatest was his strict celibacy. His auspicious deeds included thoroughly studying all the Vedic literature and acquiring the skills of a poet. His heroism was proven by his exploits in battle. He was a hero in every sense of the word, as described by Bharat Muni, the authority on poetry. Quote, Lord Brahma has defined 3 kinds of vira or hero: the hero in charity, the hero in religion, and the hero in battle. There's also personification called hero or heroism. Love is expressed in 5 primary relationships. You can be Shanta. You can express love by appreciation, like a fan of someone. They love people. You can have heroes, you love them. But then there's dasya, there's serving, and then there's friendship, and then there's parental love, and then there's romantic love. So these are the 5 types of relationships you can have. But these relationships can be expressed indirectly. It's called indirect rasas. There's 7 indirect rasas. And their experiences indirectly of friendship or romantic love, etc. But they're so powerful, they appear to be something almost separate. Like, for example, if 2 friends get together and they're joking and joking and joking, but their experience is powerful, that it appears that it's something separate, but actually it's just exchanging friendship. So it's like that. So and one of the indirect rasas, and it says Hanumān was heroic in battle. One of the indirect rasas was vira or chivalry. So it describes here, there's a hero in charity. It's called Danavir. What's a hero in charity? A father has a son. They used to do this in America. Then they give out cigars. They have to buy cigars and hand it out. So what the father is, it's chivalrous. It's Danavir. He's giving charity, but really what he's doing is experiencing his fatherly love through Dharmavir. Dharmavir is religious heroism. A person that just, like Yudhisthira, I will, I make a vow. And then there's hero in battle, Yudhavir. So anyway, Hanumān is just from all vows are so important to make because, like, for example, you decided you go around the hill. If you didn't make a vow to do it, as soon as there's a little difficulty, you just go out. So what vows do is and that's why this is so important. That's why the most powerful spiritual quality is honesty. Because if you want to do something, you just have to say it. And previously when I came to India, so I met people in, 2 generations above me, and you'd meet these people, they had such character. I talked about, when I came, before me in the group was Dr. Sharma. And, he would eat milk, yogurt, fruit, and vegetables. There's nothing else he would take. No ghee, no sugar. And he was doing this for 40 or 50 years. And the reason he did it is because there was a family quarrel and his son left home. And his wife died after a year of a heartbreak. And he vowed, until my son comes home, I will not this, I will not this. I will never go home again. I will not this, I will not this, I will not this. So that's why honesty is so important. Because you can do anything you want if you just say it. But people are not honest. And I made this definition of rationalization is the intelligence in the service of the false ego. You just is strict celibacy, because that's the driving force of the material world. Icha dvesha, we're born. Icha dvesha, desire, hate. So far, when Bhishma made that, he's a great Kshatriya. When he made that vow, then you heard from the heavens, Bhishma. Bhishma means, great vow. So all these qualities, but again, they're not just separate qualities. They're gifts that he uses in God's service, and therefore they become glorified. Like we glorify Prabhupada, for so many things. He wrote so many books. He made so many temples. And we describe his intelligence sometimes, some quality like that. Or we glorify that he defeated someone in debate. But that's not what we're really glorifying is his service to Krishna. And I described that Prabhupada was in his room in Calcutta after he came back, and he just couldn't believe it because he had so many powerful godbrothers that had all these incredible managerial and intellectual abilities. Or from high-class Brahmin families, and some were from Kshatriya families. And he was just saying, why me? Why me? And he was just reflecting. And then he said, because I had 10% faith in the order of my spiritual master. So he had that character. So, Hela Vilag Gita Gada Shata Yojana Sagraha Raksho Raja Parastarta Sita Vasana Kovida. With playful disregard, he jumped across thousands of miles of fathomless ocean expertly in the capital of the Rakshasa king. He comforted Mother Sita in her distress. He boldly threatened his enemies, burned Lanka, and destroyed its citadel. When he brought back news of Sita, he received his master's deep embrace. So he got the blessings. He got the blessings. He attracted the blessings by his service. He recognized his service. It's like Rupa Goswami, when he came into the assembly of the Vaishnavas, and he was Bhakta Rupa. He wasn't like yet Rupa Goswami. He was a new devotee, but Lord Chaitanya, because he was such a brilliant guy, and he started to compose right from the beginning this poetry. And when he came in the assembly of the Vaishnavas and recited this incredible poetry, that it was so stunning that when Srila Damodar heard this poetry, they were just amazed because of the level of alliteration and metaphor and what it expressed and the glorifications. And he said, what is the use of a bowman's arrow and a poet's words if they don't strike the heart, make the head spin? He was glorifying his poetry. But then the devotees said, like, how did he get such mercy? Because it's not enough to have poetic ability. You have to have an inspiration. Otherwise, what are you going to write about? She loves you, yeah, yeah, yeah. What are you going to write about? Nothing profound, nothing deep. So there's not just the poetic ability, but you have to have something to say of worth. And you have to have realization, deep realization. You have to go and actually see God and see the truth, just like you're getting a little glimpse of the Dham. Right? But imagine going further and further and seeing deeper and deeper. And then having that touch your heart and then being able to express it. So they just wondered, how is this possible, a new person? And then Srila Damodar said, you were attracted by his service. And service just doesn't mean the activity. It means the consciousness in which it's done. It's not just the activity. Like Narada Muni, when he got Sakshat Darshan, he saw God and then he couldn't see God. And then he tried again and again and again. He couldn't see it, but he heard an Akashvani, a voice in the sky. When he heard a voice in the sky, it told him that he had a material taint and he wasn't complete in service. The material taint was he was attached to the Himalayas. It's so peaceful. But that's still passion. That's not pure. Right? Pure is like these devotees. And one of the qualities that comes across when Lord Shiva was glorifying, Lord Shiva, the person before him, was glorifying the residents of, this comes later, the residents of Vaikuntha. No, the residents of Vaikuntha are glorified. And they said, why just the residents of Vaikuntha? Why only them? The people here who live that life and surrender to God. How attractive is that? That they also surrender to God and they don't care where they are. They don't care where they are. And then that famous verse, Narayana Parasarve Nakuchas Swaga Pavaga. Doesn't matter. It's just where service is. And Prabhupada really gave us that spirit. I remember I was here in Vrindavan. I was here for service. And I had one godbrother. He was very dynamic. His name was Tribhuvanath. Vrindavan was his base, but he used to preach in the mid East. And he was always like being chased by the PLO. and then opening the door to his car and jumping out and rolling down the hill and escaping, and and this is amazing, but I knew him. Yasser Arafat, the head of the PLO, his right-hand man, became a devotee. Yeah, his name was Rabinari, and he was the heaviest devotee I ever saw. He was to give speeches, and we will march on Mecca and establish Gorni Thai. So I remember he used to come back, and then this person was so dynamic. He started playing the mridanga, and they would clay. And by the end, the mridanga, he'd be patting it up. And this is not the PLO guy. This is my god brother. The other, it'd be crushed, the mridanga. And then I thought, yeah, if Prabhupada sent me to, distribute books during the Hajj in Mecca, I would go. That spirit, amazing. It's so. Anyway, Jamunajaya, did you go yet? Maybe you can share with us something?
No, Raj, I'm here. Thank you so much. I mean, Hanumān has my heart. And yesterday I was actually reading the Hanumān Chalisa. So what a beautiful glorification. But I really loved the simplicity of saying that service, hey guys, service is the expression of love. That's a button. It's just so clear, so clearly and beautifully said. And Hanumān really is such the exemplar of that. And I also love that he's a hero in battle, in charity, and in religiosity. So that was beautifully put. So thank you. And I am deeply feeling separation, especially seeing all you guys there. Hare Krishna.
You have so much energy that we'd probably make you do Dandavat Prikram twice.
I would love it.
It'd be no problem. And you wouldn't eat. You wouldn't eat.
I wouldn't eat. You know me, Mirage.
Okay. Anybody else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Yeah. Did I clarify that with praise?
Well, let's see. I want to get your seal of approval on this connection that I made between praise and, So what I said was, to the extent that you want praise, is the extent to which, you want the glorification, and therefore won't want that for Krishna. Right? You won't want to acknowledge his greatness. And so if you don't want to acknowledge his greatness, then that precludes your experience of mercy / love. You'll be like, well, I could have done that or something. So that's how I see that connection.
I know. It just seems you made it a little bit more complicated than it is. It just seems that desire for praise, it's described these things: profit, admiration, distinction. When Lord Chaitanya was cleaning the Gundicha temple, preparing it for Jagannath to come, and they were cleaning it and cleaning it and cleaning it, and then even when the dust went outside, it could still blow in, so they just push it further and further, and they were throwing the water, and all these things. It what to get Lord Jagannath, God, to come in your heart. And it represented desire for profit, admiration, and distinction. It's antithetical to the mood of service. And it's the foundation of material consciousness. So they don't want to be praised. And I think the other point is, it's not just intellectual understanding. It's when you have a bhava of service, right? And you're so fixed on serving the Vaishnavas and Krishna. You're so fixed on that. And you have such a sweet mood of that. Then Why do you know you don't want to why do you want to be in the center? you want God in the center. Anyway, Gail, we'll get it. It may take many lifetimes.
Okay, Maharaj, can I do one more, please?
Okay.
Yeah. So when it comes to, another constant sticking point for me is the secondary rasa.
Yeah.
So like you use a couple of examples, like when when there's laughter among friends, right? Or when the father is handing out the cigars, right?
Yeah.
So why can't the handing out of the cigars just be an expression of his fatherly love, or the laughter among friends just be an expression of friendship? Why do we have to call it a secondary rasa?
It's a secondary rasa because it's something that you enjoy within itself. And it's a reflection of that. It's not a direct, it's not a direct thing of friendship. Jiva Goswami describes it like this: is if in the distance you see music, you say the music is coming from the stage. Well, it's not coming from the stage, but because it's closely associated with it, it appears it's coming from the stage.
Okay, so when you say that, it's almost like something that you enjoy in and of itself, as if to say, they would be laughing like that even if they weren't friends.
Take the example of the father, Dhanurdhara. It's chivalrous. It's real chivalrous. It's a special feeling. He feels chivalrous. He's giving out the cigars, but it's an indirect expression of his fatherly love,
almost independent of it, of the
almost, but not.
Yeah.
Okay, Gail.
All right.
That's it. I tried my best. Sorry, I couldn't.
No. We're getting closer. We're getting warmer. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else like to say hello before we go?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Okay, Tota. Haribo.
Haribo.
Jai Shri Radhe. Haribo.
Hare Krishna, Gurudeva. Thank you for the class. I just wanted to say thank you for reminding to me again that service, it's not just service, it's the mood that it's done in. Because it's very important. When the service is repetitive, sometimes the mood is fading, behind it. But this reminder is very valuable.
Because that's what God appreciates, is the love. The service is just a vehicle for the love. So if it's just a service, you're giving the vehicle, but not what it's supposed to deliver. But I'm looking at your beautiful house and having so much. Patrick, you have to come down here. This is where we have a lot of our great programs. We have a lot of our. Look at the calendar. I'm coming back the 18th. The next weekend, maybe Gaur Purnima. I think we should have it at your house. Okay?
Would be wonderful. I'll write to you, Gurudev.
Okay. Haribo. Anybody else say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. It's Bṛhad in love.
Where you guys headed?
We're headed to the Bhakti Center.
Oh. Okay. Great. How come Krishna's the driver of the chariot and not you?
I'm tired. Sorry to get to say bye to you, Maharaj. You disappeared at breakfast, and I didn't know where you went. So,
what's that?
I said I'm sorry I didn't get to say bye to you when we were in India. You disappeared so quick. I couldn't keep up with you at Govardhan, and you disappeared.
What breakfast? What breakfast was that?
You came to the last breakfast at Govardhan. Raj Sundar. For Raghunath. Yeah.
I was sitting with you.
I know, but then you disappeared and I didn't get to say bye to you, so sorry.
Well, I was sitting for a half hour. You could have said goodbye. I'm just joking. Okay, Haribo.
Haribo.
Okay, great. Okay, anybody else say hello? Nice to see you, Bṛhad.
Hare Krishna, Gurudev. Surya Radhikari.
Haribo.
Hare Krishna.
Nice to see
Thanks for
you.
Thank you,
I hope
Maharaj.
everything works out with that visa.
Yeah, I hope so too. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Thank
Hare
you very
Krishna,
much for the
Gurudev.
class.
Say hello. These are from Iran.
Hello. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Nice.
Anybody
You have
else?
many audience, Maharaj.
What's that? Yeah,
You
I
have
some
many
people.
audience today. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. Anybody else say
I love-
hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for class. I've been really enjoying it lately.
Why don't you say hello to your main man, Shalki Shore?
Hare
Hare Krishna. I've been inspired watching your Dandavat Parikram.
It's been videoed?
Well, there's been pictures posted online, like after every day. So really inspiring.
You would like to do that?
I was thinking about it. I'd probably be better off rolling around Govardhan instead of doing Parikram, but
anyway, that's a higher parikram. You can put Jai out of business. You can call it I don't know, my sense of humor has to work. It's not working quickly here, but it can be anyway, I'll think of something. Okay. Anybody else say hello?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj.
Hey, Haribo. Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta. Nice to hear from you. Hope you come to India soon too. Haribo. Okay, who else?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Ishwari Radha.
Ishwari Radha. Haribo. Chai.
Haribol. Haribol.
Nice to hear from you.
Hare Krishna
Anybody
Guru
else?
Maharaj. Namaste is here.
Wow. Nice to hear you.
Thank you,
Say
Guru
hello.
Maharaj.
Okay. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is Krishna-katha. Thank you so much for the class. Thank you.
Wow, you look so mystical. Look at this. It's like, whoa. Okay, Haribo. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you for class.
Ishwari, where are you?
I'm at one of the parks by my house with Georgia, my baby.
Oh, I couldn't see it. I thought it was a cow.
She looks like one, doesn't she? Like a Vrindavan one? Come on, a little.
Okay, Haribo. Anybody
Haribo.
else? Okay, we'll go now. Thanks all for coming. Bunch of